In keeping with the purpose and promise of this page, um, I had to reevaluate old videos to refined my structure and purpose and mission initially to this page. And there are times I've been right on the money and times I felt lost in translation. But the more recent videos I have been posting, I wanted to take the time out on this date to give context to those videos and why they were so important and just why I posted them. I want to do this progressively, gradually. I don't even want to say whether to be one video or 10 videos. I don't want to do it like that. I just want to go over a timeline of my entire progression over the course of the duration of my stay in New York City. And before just moving right along to next chapters, I want to post videos, footages that tie into the details. Um, I felt like this story is long overdue, but it's no time like when something strikes you to do it. And so you guys have to bear with me, however it turns out, because I am winging it again. um, and I'm feeling my nerves already. Okay. I have often been asked what brought me to New York City from Orlando, Florida. And throughout the duration and course of my channel, I've gotten into some details, but never an overview and with specifications, right? And so prior to my exodus to New York City, again, I was living in New York. I was in a relationship at the time. Recently, I posted, and I may repost, some footage of an ex I was dating at that time. Um, hmm. What evokes transparency, guys, and forgive me for going on a sideline right now, is the connectivity to human experience and compassion and connectedness. In revealing sometime the foundation, the fabric of our struggles sometimes takes the greatest degree of courage, but it also connects us in the most profound way to our fellow man. And so I'm saying these things with the full understanding of potential employers that could seek me out, roommates. Oh, never that again. Sorry, X that out. Okay. But certain specification that were required for someone to look me up. I know this, and my mission is so much more important to me. And it requires a level of transparency that goes beyond judgment, um, condemnation, it becoming a comedy, People gravitate um, to channels for different reasons. And so, stemming beyond all of those complexes, my mission is far greater. And so, to continue that in this relationship, it started off one way, which was fun, seemingly free. We would play cards, just talk, chat like buddies almost. I was working at that time, so was he. I just happened to be making a little more money than he. However, and in the greater scheme, I never tried to reign supreme over him or in that relationship whatsoever, for the fact that on that job, it was my power was always seemingly checked and put in perspective and always trumped by men, more importantly, white men that were never more gifted than me. And so I never really got an ego either, but yeah, had a little more money and abilities than him at that time. The relationship shifted midway, and I felt like he started to view me as a resource and a come up and started treating me as such. I'm pretty sure somewhere midway there, I was being cheated on, and I drew a point in that relationship. This was, I guess, a turning point of the relationship, that I noticed that the man never took the time to get to know me, build with me, connect with me, grow with me, learn about me. And so I literally, pulled out Lame Me, pulled out family albums and pictures and things that really meant a lot to me, and shared them with him at a time, and noticed that he didn't have feedback about anything, questions or interest, intrigue about anything, other than a white girl that chimed in the picture in the bathroom one night and photobombed me and my homegirls one night after the club. So of course we're looking a little tired, sweaty. She was looking fresh and new, probably had just stepped out and photobombed us. And that was the only character out of everything I showed him that seemed to be of intrigue. And so it led me to start to question the validity of the relationship, which in turn drew him on a defense. Um, Either which way, I started to befriend some of my coworkers, one of which was developing a call center of his own at the time, or at least at the beginning phase, and wanted to sort of mentor me and possibly have me get on board for that. I shared that with the then boyfriend at the time. And almost immediately, jealousies came into play, accusations of me possibly being more involved with the coworker came into play, and a lot of distrust, because these were men that had way more money and more power than the guy that I was dating at the time. I specifically recall the day he was triggered. Um, let's even stop, because before that happened, days prior to that day, this man, we woke up. We would oftentimes walk to the bus stop together. He would walk with me, rather, get me on the bus before going on his way. And one day that we woke up, I was really dressed up, looking very beautiful, wonderful. Had on a pinstripe sort of jumper, short set, and we walked with each other, but before doing so, in the apartment that he didn't have bus fare that day and actually had to ask me, to which I obliged. Didn't make him feel shame for it, didn't say anything about it at all. And he made this mention that, maybe I was too good for him and feeling less than a man for me. Days later, I noticed we don't have food and certain things. I mentioned it to him and he won't wake up, wouldn't wake up that morning. So I wake up and I go out and I handle that business. It was quite a bit of groceries and things that I was bringing back, too much to carry myself. And so I paid a cab to take me to the house. That cab driver, seeing I was alone, assisted me in bringing the things in. And again, the ex was still sleeping. A short time thereafter, woke up, exploded on me. Exploded on me. Some of which I recorded audio, which if I'm ever able to gain my hands back on, I would feel more than obliged to sharing. I might still have little snippets of that time, but that from what I can recall, this man kicked me out of the bedroom, into the living room, which wasn't normal because everything was there's no carpet. out of the bathroom, was saying I wouldn't have access to the sink, the bathroom, that maybe I should call that X, if I needed to take a shit or shower. Not even a mattress, not a blanket did he leave me with, a sheet. We shared those things. When all of a sudden everything became his. I ended up moving all of my things out of that room and into a tight knit corner each time I would come and go, not being sure if my things would be there. Always having fears of possibly misplacing my key, maybe him taking my key and being locked out. That he also, went as far as attempting to put a padlock on the bedroom door to make sure I had no access to anything. If he was not there, would oftentimes come in the house, kicking me out of the bed. When he attempted to put that padlock on the doors, when I finally called the police and they told him that was something that he couldn't do. And so from there, began doing just other really weird things, such as hiding in closets, listening to my phone conversations, or me doing YouTube videos. One time for an hour straight. I only caught him by standing up and seeing the reflection of a phone under the bedroom door that I had, walked into when initially entering the apartment, and figured that no one was there. When I realized, wow, he was hiding in the closet, clearly listening to me for a whole hour do a video. I immediately left the apartment not knowing who it was, and before leaving called him and heard his phone ring in the bedroom, and initially and just walked out of there. Things like sleeping with knives and weapons under his pillow. It was a really trying time in my life and in my world. Um, and at the same time, I was dealing with certain issues even on that very same job, that he clearly envied me for. And on the next part, because I don't want to run too far on my time, and I've talked about previously some of those work experiences, but I feel like I need to elaborate a little bit, because these worlds collided, meaning relationship, home, work, and devastated my life and my world, leaving me with nothing and no real resources and nothing to truly fall back on. Not a friendship, even, for the fact that Orlando was never that place for me in which I connected and felt that I could build roots and foundation, or even meaningful relationships, whether in school or at work. I've always felt like an outcast and outsider, in my hometown. Um, yeah, my world collided. And when I sought out the resources, by, calling 211, was told that unless I have children in my situation, there were very limited resources, possible shelters I could go to, many of which were actually charging per night. If I'm not working at that time, clearly unable to do something like that. So clearly unrealistic expectations and a lack of and little to no resources. The last straw for me in Orlando came when it came to places that I knew, and grew, and was foundational too, that I found were being overran and over um, controlled, by minorities. Not even, I'm sorry, by migrants, and foreigners, and places that you could just once sit and feel comfortable and free. That, let's just say, a pool of a, complex. Maybe you don't live there, but hey, were places that now you would be being watched on videos, and somebody would quickly be coming down, to let you know that you could not be. When I found that I could no longer exist in a place that was once a place that the only place I've known growing up, going to school, everything. A place I once felt free and just me, even without popularity and a lot of friends, begin to change and shift, much of which came into play after the Pulse shooting. And it seemed that Orlando had decidedly went gay, and more prevalent, and for the foreigner, more importantly, the Hispanic. Okay. And so I've never spoke publicly of any of these things. But as I've been in the city, there's a lot of daydreaming and idealizing of the South, especially with a lot of the mandates and the new structures of the city, and people fantasizing about that life. And all it makes me say in my mind is to be wise, to go down there with ready-made employment, a vehicle and certain resources and certain accesses, to never fall between the cracks and be weary of how easy that can be, because the lifestyle without a car is, well, there is none. There is no lifestyle. Your life revolves around limitations, stipulations, and rules, very much different, even from the North. And so your life is seemingly ruled and controlled by a certain class. Your struggles are decidedly, there is no time taken, no networks, no structure. And so a lot of the struggles are hidden, and you don't see. They're in the backdrop of the city, but it makes them no less real, if you know what I mean, or plausible to be impactful, again, if you fall through those cracks. And so I wanted to go ahead and take a pause before coming back and going a little into that work experience before, again, my exodus and what that looked like, guys, and why that's important. I'll see you then.